I see her before I meet her. A woman in a quiet room, a single candle breathing light against the window. She doesn't rush to speak. She doesn't rush at all. The air rearranges itself around her. People lower their voices without noticing. Choices begin to orbit. There's no crown on her head, and yet there is a gravity in the way she sits, like the center of a constellation. And then I realize the unsettling truth. Nothing about her is loud, and somehow everything bends. Have you felt that? The tug of a presence that doesn't chase, doesn't plead, doesn't bargain, and still moves the room. If a part of you has ever wondered why your warmth sometimes gets mistaken for weakness, or why being nice keeps inviting disrespect, stay with me, because at the end of this story, I'll share a Jung-inspired practice I call the golden frame. 3 steps to hold high standards without losing your softness. It's the exact shift that took me from over-explaining to being understood, from trying to convince to letting alignment do its quiet work. I'll save it for the end on purpose. The reward, like all real power, is delayed. I didn't wake up magnetic. I woke up tired. Tired of being agreeable, tired of long paragraphs at midnight, tired of explaining why basic respect is not too much. Jung wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." For years, my fate looked like this. I dimmed to be digestible. Then I resented the dimness I chose. I smiled when something crossed a line. Then I cried in the shower because life kept handing me the same lesson with a new face. The breakthrough didn't arrive as thunder. It arrived as a question. If my energy is a currency, why do I spend most of it proving I deserve what I already give? That question led me to Jung's map of the psyche, persona, shadow, anima, animus, the self, and to a quieter path, soft power, not submission, not fragility. Soft power is the river that carves the canyon. It looks gentle, it moves mountains. Soft power with high standards changed how I speak, but more than that, it changed how I sit with myself. It turned silence into a sentence. It turned no into an act of love. It turned my attention into a throne. And it asks you and me to face something uncomfortable. A standard you won't enforce is just a wish, and a wish you're ashamed to ask for will attract what you're ashamed to keep. Before we go further, let me open a loop and lock the door. I'm going to name 7 signs that you're embodying this feminine soft power with high standards. I'll tell you right now. The 4th is the most dangerous to ignore because it wears a pretty mask and calls itself kindness. I'll get there, but first I need to take you to a dream. I was on a shoreline at dusk. The water was a patient animal, waves curled in, small as secrets. In my hands a cracked teacup. I kept dipping it into the ocean, trying to fill it for someone waiting behind me. Every time I turned, the cup was empty again. When I woke, the meaning stung. I was fetching oceans for people who drank and left, and I still didn't understand why I felt dry. Jung would say the dream was compensatory, the psyche correcting an imbalance. The cup was my boundaries. The ocean was my energy. The leak, my fear of not being chosen if I asked to be treated like a queen instead of a convenience. Since then, I've learned to read reality like a dream, to notice symbols in the daytime, the late reply that never acknowledges your time, the joke that grazes your skin the wrong way, the plan that always shifts to accommodate someone else's priorities. These aren't small, they are glyphs in the language of standards. Soft power speaks that language fluently. If this is resonating, pause with me for a breath. Ask yourself right now, where am I holding a cracked teacup and calling it love? If your answer just surfaced, catch it. You won't need to shout later. Now, the 7 signs. That's not pretend. That's your nervous system remembering what it's like to sit on your own throne. I tell you this because the 4th sign will try to pull you off the throne in the sweetest voice. It's the softest trap, the most socially praised costume. It makes you beloved in public and broken in private. Ignore it and you'll leak for years. Face it and you'll glow differently in a month. We'll step into that in a breath. But first, a quick check-in. Where are you currently explaining a basic need, like it's a controversial opinion? If you can name it, you can change it. If you can feel the tightness in your chest when you bring it up, you're close to the lock. Keep going. 4. The nice girl mask that calls itself love. This is the dangerous one. She looks generous. She sounds spiritual. She says things like, "I don't want to be high maintenance," or "I'm not like other women, I'm low-key." She confuses self-abandonment with compassion. She labels standards as ego and concessions as enlightenment. She lets people edge further and further across lines because she believes her softness can reform their character. I wore her for years. I let men call me babe after one day because I didn't want to be uptight. I accepted last-minute plans disguised as spontaneity. I swallowed micro-disrespect with macro-smiles, and every time I did, the universe heard me whisper, "I accept this as my rate." Jung spoke about the shadow, the rejected parts of us that live in the dark. My nice girl mask kept my anger in the dark. It also kept my standards there. The day I let that anger speak, not scream, speak, it said, "We are done being the discount version of ourselves." Soft power took her hand and translated, "From now on, I love generously and I charge fairly." If you felt your stomach drop, it's because this mask is expensive. It buys approval with your dignity. It will be praised by people who profit from your silence. And when you put it down, they will call you something else. Difficult, demanding, cold. That is the sound of their dependency meeting your standard. That is not a sign you should turn back. 5. I keep a slow courtship with my decisions. The feminine nervous system blooms in safety, not speed. I used to say yes to prove I was easygoing. Then I felt trapped in rooms I'd built. Now I take time. "Let me think about it," is one of my favorite sentences. Soft power is not a door that slams. It's a door that opens after you've knocked long enough to prove you know how to visit. In romance, this means I value men who respect pacing. In work, it means I choose aligned collaborations over shiny chaos. In friendship, it means I don't confuse intensity for intimacy. Slow is not a flaw, it's a filter. 6. I keep my rituals like appointments with a queen. The world will test your standards the loudest when you're tired. Rituals keep you resourced enough to choose well. Morning pages, a walk at sunset, a weekly date with my own mind, a bath without a phone. These aren't luxuries, they are scaffolding. Jung would call them containers for the self. When my rituals are steady, my no's are warmer and my yeses are cleaner. When they slip, I fawn, I fix, I try to make someone else's hurricane feel like home. Rituals bring me back to the palace. 7. I let absence say what explanations never could. Soft power doesn't punish, she doesn't manipulate, she doesn't ghost to injure. But she does remove herself when the price is her peace. I don't write monologues to people who have shown they are unwilling to listen. I don't stay to prove I tried hard enough. I exit like a tide, quiet, inevitable, faithful to the moon of my own center. Jung wrote, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside." In the second half, I'll give you the golden frame, the Jung-guided practice for upgrading your standards without armoring your heart. It's the ritual that turned my teacup into a chalice. If this chapter softened something in you, share it with a friend who gives oceans. We build a different culture when we change the rate for our energy. Stay with me. The crown is light when it fits.